Hi, welcome back to McClutchy Maths. My name is Natalie McClutchy and today we are looking at how to derive the quadratic formula, and this is our 7th video in the playlist. Now before we get into that, we're going to talk about some ways that you can engage with us here at McClutchy Maths. Firstly, you could like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that any future videos that are made available, you will know about them. And you could consider hitting that little love heart button and saying thanks for the donation of $2. You could tell us in the comments if you found the video helpful, or even consider sharing it on your OneNote, or even sending the link to somebody that you know. Okay, let's talk about the quadratic formula. So there is a formula that can be used to find solutions of x or any other variable in any quadratic equation. Now this helps you not to have to complete the square or not to have to look at factorizing non-monic quadratics. It also helps in situations where neither of those strategies actually help. So it's called the quadratic formula. It looks like this. X, so these are your solutions of x, is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4a squared c over 2a. Now, in this video today, we're not going to show you how to use this formula. We're going to show you where it came from. So if you're not interested and you just want to know how to use it, then you could probably skip this video and move to the next video. This is going to be fairly theoretical algebra here. So today, where does this come from? Well, you remember that the basic form of quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. So it's got those 4 variables, and that comes from this formula as well. We've got x, a, b, and c. So you can guess that when we've got an actual equation, we're talking about all those coefficients and constants, and the x is what we're trying to find and solve for. So that's this little one here. And we're always assuming that's set to equal 0, our value of y, and that way we can use that null factor law that we've been talking about. So our basic form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now, our objective is to get x all by itself, which will help us to come up with a formula to find all the solutions for x. So this is what we're doing, is we're transposing this basic form today to get x all on its own. So first of all, what I'm going to do is divide everything in the equation by the coefficient of x squared, which is a. Okay, so that will mean that I've got x squared all by itself. So let's do that. So I'm going to have a divided out of here gives me x squared. Bx means I've got b over a as my new coefficient there of x, and c over a. And if I divide this by a as well, I'm just going to get 0. So that's my first step. My second step is I'm going to complete the square. So this part here, I'm going to do a completion of the square so that I can then get this factorized. Okay, so you remember that this one here divided by a, so we've already got it divided by a, so it's now 2a, and we square that. But we have, if we add that to the equation, we have to take it away from the equation as well. This, remember, this makes 0. Okay, so now I've done that part of it there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize that I've now got this part here as a perfect square. b over 2a is my term inside the brackets, and it's now squared. And then I've got this part here squared, so we're going to square the top and the bottom. b squared over 4a squared, and nothing changes with the c over a. Okay, we've brought this up to the top of the next slide. You might be thinking, well, what do I do now? This looks pretty technical and complicated. Well, what we want to do is we want to be able to add these terms together, okay, to simplify this part of the equation. To do that, I need 2 common denominators of 4a squared to add 2 fractions. So I'm going to multiply this by 4a over 4a, because 4a times a makes 4a squared. So the way I'm going to do that is 4a times c gives me 4ac, and I've now got 4a squared on the denominator. Okay, now what I'm going to do for step 4 is I'm going to move these 2 terms here that now have that common denominator to the other side of the equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to both sides, so I'll get positive b squared over 4a squared. And if I subtract that from both sides, I get minus 4ac over 4a squared. Okay, my next step now is to turn this right-hand side into one equation with the same denominator. b squared take away 4ac all over 4a squared. My next step, I'm still trying to get this x all by itself. So we've got no x on this side, so we can just focus on this side now. At the moment, all of this side is squared. To undo squared, we take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to cancel out that squared on the left-hand side. I've now got this under a square root sign. Now, because I'm taking the square root of a positive number, square root could be positive or negative, because two negatives makes a positive and two positives multiplied together make a positive. So this could be plus or minus. And remember, quadratics always have two solutions as well. So now to get x all by itself, I'm going to take that to the other side here. Negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. So I've now made x the subject. Okay, my next step is to simplify this side, which is the surd. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you'll know from your surd rules about surd fractions, is I can make this into two individual square rooted parts. Okay, so I can square root the top, square root the bottom. The square root of 4a squared is just 2a. So I'm left with a surd on the top and just a rational denominator there of 2a. Now these are two fractions with the same denominator. Now I can add them together and make one big fraction. So make a big denominator of 2a. This becomes negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac as my numerator. So now I have derived the quadratic formula. It's very technical, isn't it? I'm sure you found this quite tricky. You may want to go back and watch it again in places if it went a little fast for you. If you've got any questions, mcclutchymaths@yahoo.com is the place to reach me. We've got our final video coming up very shortly, and we're going to show you how to use the quadratic formula through substitution. So do stay tuned for that. I'm Natalie McClutchy. Have an amazing day.